Anyway, welcome back to Murder at the Kogetsukan. Took a couple days off to let it get some more story stuff, so let's continue from Section 3 and do some reading. Murder at the Moon. Section 3. No more than one secret room or passage is allowable.
Those sandwiches we had for breakfast were delicious. Yes, not a bad breakfast, I have to admit.
I worked pretty hard on those, so I'm glad you all liked them.
Yeah, they weren't half bad. Best thing about sandwiches is you don't need any fancy utensils to eat them. And this tea is delicious too. Did you do something special with the tea leaves?
That would be my doing, Ms. Ava. Ms. An saw that it was extensively educated on brewing tea. Oh, saw to it that I was. My bad.
Clients don't need to know your life story, Chris. You're going to make some lucky woman very happy one day, Chris. You're already so clean and proper.
That's enough, Ava.
Is it my imagination, or did she just take a dig at me?
Morris, you still have a lot of growing up to do if you're letting a lady's remarks get under your skin. Nothing anyone could say fazed me when I was your age. By then, I had my hands so full of beautiful, famous women that I hardly knew what to do with them all.
And you're the one who told me I had to get married just as I was about to begin my own series of conquests.
Did I?
I'm so sorry if anything I said offended you, Morris. By the way, Chris, why don't you stop by my room later?
Stop that, Ava.
I can't believe that guy lets his wife and kids run their mouths like that. Right, Pops? Now stop that, Morris. Can you not see how difficult you're making matters for your father? Yeah, all right. That was yummy. What a healthy appetite you have, Lori. I'm proud of you. Now don't forget to thank them for the meal. Hey, can I have that too?
Now that you mention it, there is another plate left over, isn't there? I want some too. Gimme.
Okay, let's share it then. Half each?
That's supposed to be for Sheringham. Hey Chris, where is Sheringham anyway? Mr. Sheringham is still resting in his room. I thought his trip must have exhausted him, so I refrained from knocking so as not to wake him. Well, that won't do. We were supposed to discuss our plans this morning. In that case, please allow me. I'll go and fetch Mr. Sheringham right now.
Ask him if he still wants his breakfast, too.
Yeah, ask him.
God, you hear those brats screeching? It's giving me a damn headache. This is a hotel, not a kindergarten. Hear that? As if he isn't the biggest baby here. True, but don't you find his boorishness somehow endearing in its own way? I can hear you, you know. Screams! Ah! Was that Chris?
Let's go. That can't be good news. I'm going too. You're all here. What happened, Chris? I don't think I've ever heard you raise your voice before. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking straight. I'm all right now. But instead of telling you what happened, I think it would be faster if you saw for yourselves. Take a look inside Mr. Sheringham's room.
Sheringham's room? Why? What happened?
He's dead? The detective got killed off in the first act.
No way. Is he really dead?
It looks like he's been dead for some time now. I'll seal the area off and go tell the others.
I can't believe Mr. Sheringham is dead.
I didn't examine his body too closely, but it sure didn't look like he died of natural causes.
There might not be any point in asking, but do we know who saw him last?
I wasn't technically the last one to see him, but Mr. Sheringham did ask me to bring him some tea last night.
And? There's gotta be more to it than that, right?
Well,
Don't be coy, this is an emergency. Just spit it out.
Mr. Sheringham requested 2 teacups. It looked like there was someone else with him.
Damn, man. Do you know who it was?
I couldn't tell. Mr. Sheringham was waiting for me outside of his room, and he slipped back inside after I gave him the tea tray. I didn't get so much as a look at whoever was in there. Based on the way he acted, I thought he might be entertaining a woman, but I didn't give it much thought beyond that.
Mama. I didn't think you were still so innocent, Chris.
The only possible clue I can think of is that he requested a left-handed teacup. Not that teacups are normally left or right-handed, but the handles for the cups we use here at the Kogetsukan are a little unusual. Mr. Sheringham appeared to be right-handed, so I think the left-handed one was for his guest.
Ha! That's just perfect. Detective Guy had more game than I thought. I don't suppose you were the left-handed woman, were ya? How could you even ask me that, Morris? This is hardly a fit subject for a joke, especially now. Besides, I'm right-handed. How could you not know that? I've been your stepmother for 10 years.
I'm sorry to ask this now, but is anyone here left-handed? I'll take that as a no. Well, I guess it would be hard to get anyone to admit to that under the circumstances. Never mind who he might have been meeting with. This isn't going to affect our alliance, is it?
No. Unfortunate accidents aside, we will proceed with the engagement as scheduled once we regroup. You're kidding, right? We need to stop this deal and leave now. Have someone come pick us up at once. Unfortunately, we don't have any means of contacting anyone on the mainland. No matter what happens, not going ahead with the engagement is not an option. You mean, we're trapped here? But what if something happens to my Lori? No one will be coming to get us until 2 days from now. Until then, we will just have to make the best of things.
That's quite alright with me. We can't have a little thing like this get in the way of our arrangement. I couldn't agree more. Oh, what a relief.
Man, you sure are desperate, huh? This alliance really mean that much to you?
Morris, that was going too far. Apologize right now.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Mr. Adamska. Anyway, we know the killer's here among us, right? Well, I'm not gonna let a little murder scare me. Oh, it looks like our decision to keep our personnel to a minimum backfired. I never thought we would have a murder on our hands.
I'm sorry to spoil your vacation, but please make sure you all stay where we can see you as much as possible. If there's anything you need, we will be happy to provide it. Alright, everyone, as you were. I hope you'll still be able to relax and enjoy yourselves.
Relax and enjoy ourselves? How on earth are we supposed to relax now?
Say, Gouda, if you don't have anything better to do, would you mind taking over for the detective? We've diverted so many resources to security at this point that, honestly, we don't have time to handle the investigation.
Does that mean you don't suspect Gouda at all?
I saw them take that ball to the face on the first day, not to mention the uproar that followed. There's no way anyone that anyone that inexperienced in self-defense would be capable of murder. Well, not that you need to be good at martial arts to kill someone, of course.
Well, whatever your reasons are, I absolutely agree that Gouda could never kill anyone.
I'll do it. I'll be your detective. Well now, it seems you have much more initiative than I thought, considering how quiet you seem. I agree. Gouda is the right choice. Since they are not affiliated with either family, we can expect their judgment to be fair and impartial. Now then, shall we take a look at the crime scene? Much as I'd rather not, of course.
Doctor?
Wu asked me to help out as well. I'm the only one here who can perform an autopsy, after all. Lamentably, I have little in terms of space or equipment, so I must confine myself to a visual examination.
That's a good point. Okay, let's go then. He is pretty pale, but aside from that, he doesn't really look dead.
If that's what you think, then try checking his wrist.
Okay then, just in case. No, you're right. He doesn't have a pulse. Did you want to check his wrist too, Gouda?
Aren't you scared?
Of course I'm scared, but I also kind of feel like I'm partly to blame for his death.
You look even paler than he does, Juliet. Why don't you go back to your room and get some rest? Let Gouda and me handle this.
No, I'll stay. I wouldn't be any less scared sitting alone in my room.
Well, alright, if you insist. Anyway, I believe we have sufficiently verified that he is in fact dead. Given how much his body is cooled, I'd put his time of death at around midnight. Of course, the cause of death will be more important than the time.
And what do you think, Doctor?
Poison would seem the most likely answer. Still, I can't tell what sort of poison or how it entered his bloodstream. I'm afraid that's all I can say at this point.
That's all. Isn't there anything else?
I may be a doctor, but I must admit that this isn't exactly my area of expertise. I can't even be sure whether this poison was mixed into food or drink, or if he was injected with it somehow. It would be one thing if I had my toxic substance detection reagent here with me, but... I'm sorry to interrupt. It looks like today is going to be rather warm, so would it be alright if we moved Mr. Sheringham's body soon? Oh, right, I do apologize. You must have a lot to do without waiting around for us.
Never mind that, Doctor. What about the poison? If the killer poisoned his food or drink, what's to stop them from doing the same to ours?
I doubt there would be any poison in the food as long as Wu is cooking. But if you are worried, I will be happy to taste it first to put you at ease.
What? And how can you smile about that? If it really is poison, you could end up dead yourself.
The marble company took me in while I was just a baby. Of course I would lay down my life for them.
But it's your life. You only get one, you know. You can't just throw it away like that.
With all due respect, Miss Juliet, the marble company is like family to me, and Miss An may as well be my mother. There's no difference between me risking my life for them and you marrying someone you don't love for your family.
Yes, there is. It's not the same thing at all.
My apologies. I should never have said that. Forgive me.
It's okay, I'm over it.
Alright, now that the autopsy is over, we should take Mr. Sheringham's body out of here.
We can use the basement. It's a little desolate, but it's the best option we have. I'll take the body down there now.
Hold it.
Sir?
Gouda and I can carry the body ourselves.
But
I'm well aware that the marble company doesn't have enough hands to go around right now. There's no need for you to concern yourself with this when we are perfectly capable of doing it ourselves. All I ask in exchange is that you make us a nice pot of tea. That we cannot do ourselves, after all.
in that case, I would be glad to take you up on that.
And what kinds of tea do you have?
I'm afraid we have a limited selection, but I'm certain something will be to your liking.
Is it alright if I choose myself?
Of course. All right, then let's be on our way. We'll wait for Dr. Hawthorne and your friend in the reception room. Thanks, Mendix, for the follow.
Now, let's wrap the body up in a sheet and get it down to the basement. Mind taking the legs? All right, and let's go. And there we are. Whew. That certainly does strain the lower back, doesn't it? Oh, yet another reminder I'm not getting any younger. Anyway, this should be a good place for Mr. Sheringham to rest in peace. It should be cool enough down here to minimize decay. Chris certainly wasn't kidding when he said it was desolate. In fact, it's downright chilling in here, and I don't just mean in terms of temperature. At any rate, it's finally just the two of us.
Huh? Don't tell me you were the killer!
No, nothing like that. I merely wanted to talk to you in private. It's better if Juliet doesn't hear this, you see. I've known Juliet since she was a baby. Her mother and I go way back.
You used to date her or something?
Not like that. There was never anything between us. That sounds rather sad now that I've said it. Anyway, she was very popular. A boring man like myself would never have a chance. Besides, she was the pride and joy of the famous Violet family. I was far too scared to even think about asking her on a date. Still, I was lucky that she did see me as a friend. She even kept up with me after she married Adamska. In fact, she was the one who chose me to be the Violet family's doctor after her daughters were born. I owe a great debt to the Violet family for providing me with a steady income for so many years, which is why I'm so reluctant to bring this up. I'm guessing the Goldie and Violet families came across as typical members of the upper class to you. But they are in fact two of the oldest crime families in the country. The Yakuza. All that they have is built upon violence and blood money. However, in the past few years, they find themselves in a dangerous position. For a long time, they were fighting each other tooth and nail for control of a certain city. But now both are under attack from a new enemy, and that attack has exhausted their resources. The way things are going, they probably won't last another 10 years. At worst, both could collapse. So the heads of both families arrived at the same conclusion. They would need to form an alliance, a merger of sorts. They needed a way to ensure neither would betray the other, and they decided the way to do that was to have their oldest children marry.
So it's a political marriage.
Yes, that's probably the best way to put it. I'm still a bachelor myself, but I care for those girls as if they were my own. Sometimes I can't help but wish Juliet was as free-spirited as her mother. She agreed to a marriage she doesn't want purely to help her family. It really grinds my gears. And to make matters worse, Well, you've met Morris. How do you think he will be as a husband?
Well, I think he'll probably make Juliet very unhappy.
I concur. Morris is no more than a thug who goes about picking fights over every perceived slight to his fragile ego. And he perceives many. Unfortunately, he's not the only one like that in the Goldie and Violet families. Even far from it. And those other thugs aren't happy about this merger. They're too concerned with what happened in the past and what's happening right now to give any thought to the future. In fact, many of them would rather have an all-out war than team up with an enemy. Both Aaron and Adamska are under a lot of pressure from their men not to go through with this. That's why Aaron decided to bring in the Marble Company. Any deal the Marble Company is present for always goes through, after all. Nobody in that city would voice an objection to this engagement with the Marble Company backing it. While this is ostensibly a 4-day family trip, the true purpose here is to close the deal between these two families in secret.
But then why am I here?
Of course, she has every right to go ahead with this marriage. It's if that's what she decided. But I don't want her to make a choice she'll end up regretting. Still, she has many years ahead of her, and there's no telling what may happen down life's winding road. If Juliet ever ends up reaching out to you for help, I hope you will be there for her. Not that I have any business telling you this, as I did not even have the guts to take a chance to get properly turned down by my own youthful crush. Now then, we'd better get back. I imagine Juliet is waiting for us with our tea.
Will you let me through? Just a sec. Got something I want to talk to you about first.
It looks like they're arguing about something. Let's go see what's up.
Alright then, what is it? Let me just be straight with you here. Your sister's more my type, and I want you to trade places with her. That's not something you and I can decide by ourselves. I just thought it'd suck for you if you'd already fallen for me, so figured I'd bring it up early. Still, doesn't look like being blunt's your thing anyway, so I don't see you answering honestly regardless. Of course, if you're set on it, I don't mind doing it with you either. You're easy on the eyes. And you're disgusting.
And what are you going to do about this, Gouda?
Is there a ball I can kick at him anywhere?
That's enough, Mr. Morris.
Ah, crap, it's the pretty boy with the grip of steel. Fine, I'll get out of your hair before he breaks my arm or something. I'm gonna go for a walk. Alone.
Are you alright?
I'm fine, I'm just sick to my stomach. Chris, doctor, would you mind going on ahead?
If that's what you want. Come along, Chris.
Yes, sir. Thanks. I'll be there before my tea gets cold. I'm so sorry I told you that this was just a family trip when I asked you to come along, Gouda. I thought that he might be awful, but he's a little worse than I had expected. Just a little? That's your response? You're so silly. Usually you're really quiet, but today you're something else. Thank you, Gouda. I do feel a little better now. But you know, I've had a good life growing up in this family. It's thanks to them I got into our school, and I never would have met you if I hadn't gone there. I'm grateful to them for that. So, I cannot run away from my duties now. I am the eldest daughter, after all.
Should I choose we could run away from this altogether, or we could run away from all this together?
That's sweet of you, but I can't. If I ran, my sister would have to take my place. I can't do that to her. Hey, what's with the look? I didn't bring you along so you could make faces at me. Huh? No, Guda, you mustn't. Guda, hang in there.
Well, we've died. Huh, that was quick. You weren't even asleep for an hour. Could have sworn it was longer. It would seem that time passes differently in your dream world. How fortunate. I was just thinking how helpful more data would be. Now then, what happened over there?
That was when Juliet shoved you and you fell unconscious.
How unfortunate for you. Still. It seemed someone else was even more unfortunate. Still, though, what a tragic turn of events. Don't you agree, Sheringham? Oh, my apologies. I don't know how I got those names mixed up. Holmes, the great Sherlock Holmes, rubbed out in the first act. Not even I would have seen that coming.
Senpai, I've never seen the professor so euphoric before.
I can kind of understand how he feels, though. Baritsu. Yaga! I do beg your pardon, but I'm trying to think. Would you kindly keep it down? Still, I must say, I'm disappointed to hear the detective was the first to step off the stage. Detective work is fraught with danger. Any gentleman worth his salt should have known to master a martial art or two for his own self-defense. Poor Sheringham clearly needed more training. You're one to talk, given that your self-defense consists of shielding yourself with the culprit. That aside, something about Sheringham's death nags at me. It would make much more sense if had it been anyone else. What do you mean, Professor? Assuming that whoever made the threat is among the other characters, Sheringham's arrival must have thrown a wrench in their plans. Let's further assume that the culprit made a number of preparations in the Kogetsukan. Assuming they have done so, then murdering Sheringham puts our culprit in a bit of a bind, since they have not prepared anything for him in advance. Which means they must have made a mistake somewhere. I certainly understand the desire to rid oneself of an unwelcome visitor, but I can't say I approve of this rushed, artless approach.
I see. So the culprit would just as soon have not committed this murder unless they had no choice. Does that mean that Holmes's death was a spur-of-the-moment decision?
Sheringham, Miss Kyrie-Light. I assure you I am still very much alive. Indeed. I doubt our culprit is in a position to simply gallivant about, murdering as they please. As soon as someone dies, the survivors become much more wary, serving only to complicate the act of carrying out your intended murder. Assuming this is not a matter of vengeance, your first victim should always be the one you had intended to kill from the start. But that wasn't true for Sheringham. He was not involved with either of the families. Killing him now must have been a deeply bitter pill for the culprit to swallow.
Why do you think that Sheringham was killed, Professor?
You need to ask? He was in the culprit's way, obviously. Believe me, I can understand how they felt. If an unbearably smug-looking detective showed up like he was running the show amid one of my own schemes, I'd want to send him home in a coffin too. The detective's presence carries with it the risk of interference in the culprit's plans, or having them exposed once those plans are carried out. Detectives represent any number of problems for criminals, you know. Disposing of them before the plot truly begins is absolutely the best course.
That's terrible.
Loath as I am to admit it, I have to agree. If I were a criminal, I would do the same thing. Furthermore, by killing the detective off first, the person who made the threat has shown they are not afraid to get their hands dirty. Come to think of it, there was a new development on our end while you were off in Dreamland, Mr. Gouda. I wasn't able to track down the Marble Company, but I did find two other corporations named Goldie Company and Violet Incorporated. They are both headquartered in a major American city and have vied for control over it for quite some time. The CEOs of those two companies are listed as Aaron Goldie and Adamska Violet. It all lines up perfectly. Though unfortunately, I was unable to find any information about their families.
That doesn't surprise me. Any decent underworld organization leader knows that their enemies can get to them through their families, and are sure to keep a tight lid on information regarding them.
Then this is really happening right now, not in the past or the future, or in a singularity.
Indeed. I'm still doing everything I can to find out more about them. I'll make sure to have more detailed information for you by the time you wake up.
Is that the best that the world's greatest detective can do? Give me one of the command room's terminals and I'll have the answers for you in an instant.
Ha! I could never be so foolish or intoxicated as to hand over the master key to a known thief. Besides, not even I can get into the command room's mainframe. That is a black box if I ever saw one. I think I'm getting sleepy again.
Holmes, Professor!
Ooh, what was that?
Holmes, Professor! Senpai looks like he's about to drift off again.
Well now, it seems we've droned on a bit too long. Based on what you've told us, it's clear who Sheringham was meeting with. Try to stay awake just a little longer, and I'll tell you what I know. You see, chat, it turns out that the killer this whole time was us. See, it's too obvious. We came here with Juliet, or went to the Kogetsukan with Juliet because we obviously have a crush on her. She invited us because she likes us too. They're going to get into a political marriage. The second we learned about that, we went killer. We set that message up, and now we murdered the detective because he was going to get in our way. All that's left is to get Morris out of the way. The best way to do that is to marry Morris ourselves. It's the perfect crime. Section 4 will unveil our plan. No hitherto undiscovered poisons may be used. Why didn't you find my channel sooner? You're looking for exactly these. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Look, just imagine me as your dad reading stories to you before bedtime.
It's clear who Sheringham was meeting with. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. If no one there is left-handed, that tells us all we need to know about his guest.
But couldn't the culprit just use their non-dominant hand to cover things up?
Perhaps when meeting someone for the first time, yes, but you are unlikely to be able to hide your dominant hand from someone you've spent a deal of time with. With the notable exception of Sheringham, each of our characters here belongs to his or her respective communities. Factions, if you like. You attended a meal where everyone was present, right? If there was a southpaw there who suddenly began using their right hand, someone would have said something. Given that did not happen, we can conclude that no one there is left-handed.
I do so hate to nitpick, but what if someone there is secretly ambidextrous?
It wouldn't make any difference, Professor. An ambidextrous person, by definition, would have no issue using their right hand. But according to Chris, Sheringham specifically requested a left-handed teacup for his guest. Would this have been necessary if they could simply use their right hand? If you have an answer to that question, I'm happy to hear it.
So my playing the devil's advocate only strengthened your case. Well, no matter. I actually do happen to agree with you. Do go on.
Well, if one were to nitpick at my hypothesis, I cannot deny the possibility that Sheringham could have been meeting with Mr. Gouda.
Then Senpai's the culprit?
No way! I'm innocent, man. I was asleep. You got nothing on me. It seems I may have touched a nerve. Not to worry, that possibility is extremely remote. I can't speak for your dream body's original owner, of course, but based on what you've told us, you wouldn't have had the time.
Then what about a third party? Some mysterious character who's still hiding out in the Kogetsukan somewhere.
No need for such intricacies, Miss Katie Light. Occam's razor provides us with a perfectly reasonable explanation. There is a character here who needs to use his left hand, thanks to the injury he suffered on his right. Hey, yeah!
Morris!
Most likely. Sheringham noticed Morris's injured right hand and requested the left-handed cup out of consideration.
But then, why would Sheringham feel a need to hide his meeting with Morris from Chris?
Ah, but there I am afraid you have it backwards, Miss Katie Light. Sheringham wasn't trying to hide Morris from Chris. It was Chris that he was trying to hide from Morris, in point of fact. At least, he wished to hide that Chris was bringing the tea. Chris was also the one responsible for Morris's injured hand, after all. Sheringham would have known that so much as hearing Chris's voice could easily put Morris in a foul mood. And as a detective, he would also be well aware that information often freely given is all but impossible to drag out of someone when they are in a foul mood.
But Morris never said anything about meeting with Sheringham.
Given what Mr. Gouda has told us so far, we know that Morris is both distrustful and simple-minded. It is no surprise that he would try to hide his meeting with someone who is now dead. Speaking up now would only arouse suspicion. Even Morris no doubt realizes others are prone to think the worst of him. Sorry, but I can't hold out anymore. Sleepy time.
Senpai!
It would seem we're out of time. But at least we were able to cover the most pressing matters, albeit briefly. Be sure to keep everything we discussed in mind as you go about investigating this incident. Remember, you are assuming the role of another person. Even if you cannot take any decisive action yourself, you can still keep a close eye on the events that play out around you. You'll do well not to forget that.
Right. Every good detective starts by gathering information, after all. I know it's technically a dream for you, Master, but please do your best to stay alert.
Ah, good, you're awake. I was quite taken aback to learn you passed out after Juliet shoved you.
I'm so sorry, Gouda. I guess I'm no better than Kane. Thank you for carrying Gouda all this way, Chris.
Not at all. My purpose here is to be of service. At least now I know who Sheringham was meeting with.
Do you now? Did you receive a flash of insight while you were asleep?
Well, go on. Who was it? I see. It does sound like it could have been Morris.
Indeed. We do know that Morris injured his right hand, and it may have gotten worse after, in a misguided feat of machismo, he refused treatment.
If only I had known my own strength.
Hey now, don't beat yourself up. It turned out to be for the best. Now we know who Sheringham met with.
Hey Chris, you seen Morris anywhere? No, I haven't. We were actually just looking for him ourselves. I see.
I've been turning the mansion upside down looking for him, but no dice.
Is there any problem?
Hey, sis, the truth is...
I see. He might have come back after the fact. I'll keep looking around the mansion. You and Chris go check outside.
Got it.
We'll help you look too. Come on, Gura.
Wow, I didn't realize that we were in the jungle. We've kind of been letting the place go to seed, so it's a bit of a jungle right now. Jungles, jaguars. Oh, my head.
It's so dense out here. This would be a perfect place to lay low.
I don't know about that. Not with these things running around out here. We'd better chase them away, Chris. Right. This seems like a less than good place to have a meeting of two distinguished families, even if they are crime families. Why do you think Steno's adorable in this story? Because Steno is always adorable. She'll just step on you while being adorable.
よーし、始めるとするか。お任せを。はっ、行きますか。銀の腕があなたを砕く。
Owie.
そらよった。よし、やった。せい。千山万水語るに及ばず。そらよった。いいよ、いいよ。
We punched some wolves. Good job, everyone. Yohime fanboy, you feel filthy? Don't worry about that. It's not cheating if you just look. That being said, if you act on it, then you might be burned alive in a bell, but you know. Hot!
Wow, you made those wolves look about as dangerous as puppies.
Hey, no sense killing them. Wolves aren't good to eat, trust me. Just need to chase them away. Yes, Wu, I'm all done here. Same. Still no sign of the prodigal son, though. All I'm seeing out here is more wild animals. I guess he isn't out here after all. This can be a great place to lay low, but not for a pampered city boy. He could try, but he'd just end up wolf food if he did. You catch my drift?
Don't say things like that, you're scaring me.
Don't worry, Miss Juliet. We haven't seen any signs that Mr. Morris was attacked. If he's not out here, that just leaves the sea. But I really doubt he'd be out there. There are strong currents out there, and we're much too far from the mainland for an amateur to swim for it. Guess there is no sense looking out here. Let's head back. Finally, they're gone. I'm impressed. It looks like those bodyguards really do live up to their reputation. Who could it be?
We're back. Oh, hey, any luck? I'm afraid not. We didn't see any sign of him anywhere.
Where is Morris? Hasn't anyone found him yet?
Honey, I think you've had a little too much to drink.
Shut up! No way am I making it through this without a stiff drink. I can't believe Morris is missing.
Our first priority is to keep all of you safe, so I'm afraid we can only spare so many resources to look for Morris.
What could be a higher priority than Morris's life? He's my heir, you know.
Daddy, why is Morris missing? Not now, Lori. Please be quiet. Is it because he killed the detective guy? Don't say things like that, Lori. But I saw him coming out of the detective guy's room last night.
Damn, get ratted out.
You don't mean that, right, Lori? You and I were both asleep at the time. I woke up real late, and I snuck out. When I did, I saw him leaving the detective guy's room.
Come now. We're not going to take the word of a child seriously for something so important, are we? We don't want to believe it ourselves, Aaron. But don't you think she might be telling the truth, as there's nothing to gain by her lying? Even if she did see him coming out of his room, that's not proof Morris killed Sheringham.
Honey, please calm down.
It seems I let my emotions get the better of me. I'm sorry you all had to see that. Not at all. I should be apologizing for my lack of tact. We may not be able to say for sure whether Morris is the killer, but wherever he is, there's every chance that he decides to stay in hiding now. If he does, the consequences for the Goldie family could be devastating. Our arrangement would come to a grinding halt. We would much rather it not come to that as well. Well, all right. Given the circumstances, I have a confession to make. Not even my wife Dorothy knows about this.
What are you talking about, honey?
I was hoping to take this with me to my grave, but it seems that's no longer an option. The truth is, I am Chris's father.
Huh?
Mr. Aaron. Chris, from the look on your face, I see the company never told you. I was once a young and foolish man myself. I calmed down somewhat once I married, but I did still have a habit of spending the night with women who really caught my eye. And that's how you were born, Chris. But by then I had already married my now ex-wife, and we had had Morris together. I couldn't take you in under the circumstances, so I asked the marble company to look after you. Of course, I agreed to pay for your upbringing as well. I had no idea. Morris will, of course, always be the apple of my eye. But I am the head of the Goldie family, and so must always do what is necessary for its survival. Wait a second. You're not seriously telling us to hand over Chris, are you? You're damn right I am. You're the ones who let Sheringham die, and failed to stop Morris from running away. If anyone's responsible for this mess, it's the marble company.
You are absolutely right. Fortunately, Chris is still an apprentice. We can afford to let him go.
You're still calling him an apprentice after all the time we spent training him? And besides, sis, you always seem very fond of him.
That's enough, Wu.
I guess this is a done deal then. Alright, I got it. Looks like you're in luck, Chris. One of these days you'll be taking over for the whole Goldie family. Naturally, I will be happy to compensate you for the loss. I want to remain on good terms with the marble company after all. Wait, Miss An, please let me finish my job here first. It's the least I can do to pay the company back.
All right. I'll continue to treat you as a marble company man until you leave this island.
Nobody is treating the man I've named my successor as a common servant. No. Never mind, I can see this as a matter of integrity. I will permit it this one time. Miss An, thank you for everything. I'll never forget what you did for me. Hold on, if Chris is joining the Goldie family, then that would mean... Juliet will instead be engaged to Chris. That will serve to fulfill our mutual goal.
Huh? No way. And what's the problem? This is turning out to be a good deal. You should be happy about this.
Miss Juliet, I know I still have a lot to learn, but I hope I can earn your trust in time.
Oh, okay, that sounds nice.
Don't be so subservient, Chris. You don't need to worry about what other people think of you now. You'll be running the Goldie and the Violet families one day. Ha 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 ha. What a delectable dinner. Oh, I'm afraid I had a bit too much to eat, though. I'll have to take some antacids.
Oh.
Is something wrong, my dear girl? Do you need some antacids, too?
No, that's okay. It's not my stomach.
Ah, yes. You must have a lot on your mind right now, processing the new terms of your engagement. But I dare say this was a lucky break. I know I would much rather marry Chris than Morris. Don't you agree, Gouda?
I mean, it is kind of sudden, but Chris does seem to be a good guy.
Are you serious? Why are you all happy about this? What's wrong with you?
Where are you going, Juliet?
I'm going to my room. Just leave me alone.
Oh, good grief. For as long as I've lived, I still just don't understand women. Still, she is right. I shouldn't have said that. I'll go apologize to her. Oop.
I heard the whole thing. Pretty sorry sight.
Is there something wrong with Chris?
Oh no, I'm sure that he'll make a great husband. And Juliet knows that too. But it's just not that simple. Then again, I guess it's that naivete of yours that tugged at her heartstrings in the first place.
Huh? But I'm random harem protag or whatever. Juliet and I are just friends.
Look, it doesn't matter how you feel or what you think, okay? It just matters how Juliet feels. Did you know that she hardly has any friends at all? In fact, you're the only one she's got left.
Huh?
You really didn't know? Don't you ever run into some shady people at college, trying to scare you about us? You know, people warning you that even though the Violet family is famous, there are a lot of nasty rumors about us? Warning you that spending time around a daughter of that family will mess up your chances at a good life? You know, stuff like that? I'm pretty sure that some Goldie family supporters were behind it. It was a really cheap move on their part. But I can't say that the rumors were all complete fabrications either. You do have to get nasty sometimes to keep control over an entire city. Our way of life is built upon the blood, sweat, and tears of many people, some of them dead. We're mostly used to things being that way, but Juliet's always had a harder time with it. And that's why everyone who approached her just because she was the pretty daughter of a wealthy family ended up running away. Juliet knew about our family's reputation too, of course, so she understood when people she thought of as friends stopped spending time with her. But understanding why doesn't make things any easier. It really devastated her, even to the point where she'd cry herself to sleep sometimes. That's why she was so glad when you didn't let these rumors drive you away. I honestly don't know what she would have done without you. In that sense, you're very special to her, and so I hope that you'll remain her friend as long as you're still okay with it. Well, good night then.
Good night. Way to just out your sister's feelings like that. I'm guessing this is Mephistopheles? It's great being a kid. Nobody gets mad at you for clowning around, and you don't have to work like grown-ups do. Oh, but the best part is that nobody ever suspects you. Someone's here. Oh, never mind. It was Lori.
There you are. First you sneak out of bed again, and now I find you hiding in this pitch-dark room? Oh, hi, Mommy. Looks like she found us, Kane.
Yep, I guess so.
Oh, Lori. I was so worried when I didn't see you anywhere after I woke up. You have to tell me when you want to play hide and seek. But you always make me go to bed too early. I want to stay up and keep playing.
Sorry, Lori, but the game's over once you're found. We'll just have to pick this up tomorrow.
Thank you, Kane. Morris never plays with her like this. She's so happy to have a new big brother.
I like being a big brother, too. My sisters have always been weirdly grown up, I guess.
I can see that. All right, it's getting late. Time to go back to bed. Okay.
All right, and I'm going to sleep, too. Now, where's that light switch? Yep, I sure love being a kid. No one ever suspects the kid.
Good morning, Senpai. What happened this time?
So, our fair princess finds herself betrothed not to a common ruffian, but a perfect prince now. I suppose it does make for a happy ending of sorts, but in narrative terms, it still seems lacking.
I think this is a wonderful development myself. I'm so happy for Juliet I could burst. Oh. But then again, I guess this isn't really the time to be saying that sort of thing, is it? Not with Sheringham murdered and Morris missing.
There is presently little sense in discussing Morris's possible whereabouts. There are more important matters to discuss.
Indeed. Namely the surprise reveal of a new Goldie family heir, which may make him a new target.
If the culprit's goal is to protect the two families from coming together, then it's quite possible they were involved in Morris's disappearance as well. If that is so, the revelation about Chris will have completely blindsided them, and as such, they may need to resort to brute force once again.
Another unexpected development. Between the detective's sudden appearance and the surprise of Chris's parentage, it would seem that luck is against our dear criminal. Just when they thought they had eliminated the Goldie family's sole heir, a new candidate presents himself.
If the culprit is going to make another move, it will almost certainly be at night. They won't want to miss this opportunity after all. I expect they'll either go after Chris or Juliet.
You mean Juliet might end up dead? I gotta get back there and stop them. Quick, run into the wall. Oh my god, he actually did it.
Senpai, stop! Please don't bang your head against the wall. You could give yourself a concussion.
Calm down, Mr. Gouda. Even should you manage to knock yourself out, there's no guarantee you'll wake up at the Kogetsukan straight away. At any rate, you need to steel yourself for whatever tragedy may come next if you are to continue your investigation with a clear mind. Though, of course, it would be best if there were no more tragedies at all.
I gotta fall asleep fast, grabs hammer. And the next one will unlock tomorrow, technically in like an hour. So knowing what we know right now, my guess is Chris will be the next target. Considering Morris went missing, I believe Chris will be the next one to go missing. The targets right now seem to be for the Goldie family as opposed to the Violet family, and I think it'll probably continue that trend. Again, it really seems like the culprit is trying to get rid of, well, since Morris has gone missing at least now, seems like the culprit's trying to get rid of competition for Juliet, which goes forward to say that we are the culprit, and we're getting in there. Just watch, chat. I guarantee our hands are covered in blood. We'll be able to find that out next time, possibly.